We got Pete Prisco, Rand Carthon, and Damian Harris with us. I feel like we got to talk about Carson Wentz coming back from injury, playing for the team that he loved. What'd you like from him today, Pete?
Yeah, look, when you go out with an injury, and look, he's had injury history, so automatically you go, oh no, there he goes again. But he came back into the game, had an injured shoulder, and when he had to drive his team to the winning touchdown, he did it. And that's the sign of a quarterback you want on your team late in the game. Look, he's not going to be the long-term quarterback. We know that. He's probably going to the bench the next game. But for this game, he made it happen in the fourth quarter, and he made it happen on the game-winning drive. That's all you can ask about your quarterback.
Yeah, and I thought Carson Wentz did a good job of just capsizing the moment. And when you look at this offense, they're averaging 16.5 points per game with J.J. McCarthy, 30 points per game with Carson Wentz. Then you go down to pass yards per game. 127 a game with J.J. McCarthy, 245 with Carson Wentz. So I think if anything, it's this. You have an offense that can run well even with a backup quarterback. Now it's about bringing J.J. McCarthy back up to speed, getting his mind processing the information pre-snap and post-snap, and then getting him to run the offense and produce the similar numbers that we've seen from Carson Wentz over the past couple games.
Well, let's look at the other side. Dylan Gabriel, I felt like he had an okay game, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, Ran.
Yeah, they managed it well, right? They didn't ask him to throw the ball a ton downfield. And we talk about it a lot on this show, tongue in cheek, but it's real. They have the formula. You have a young running back in Quinshon Judkins who had 23 carries today, went over 100 yards. Like, he is the catalyst of this offense, and you have a really good defense. You have to be willing to just use that formula, allow the quarterback to take good care of the football, put him in, high percentage pass situations and take care of the ball and turn around, hand the ball off. That'll shorten the game for the other team's offense and allow your defense to get more rest. And then we saw their first touchdown came after their defense forced a fumble and got the ball with a short field.
Yeah, it wasn't too big for him. And that's what you wanted to see, because everybody said, and we were all probably guilty of it, you're playing Brian Flores' defense, which is so complicated, so many looks, and he handled himself. And that's a good sign for the Cleveland Browns. He went out there. It wasn't, like you said, gaudy numbers, but he handled the moment. And that's what I wanted to see. Was it too big for him? And it wasn't. So moving forward, they got to have some optimism about him. But eventually, they got to let him go a little bit, too. You got to let him go. You can't play quarterback scared, which a lot of teams in this league now do, but you got to let him go.
Especially because he's got some weapons. I mean, we saw what Njoku did today. They're still trying to figure out how to get Jerry Jeudy acclimated in this offense and get him going. But then again, Rand, to your point, with the addition of Quinshon Judkins and the way that he has emerged on the scene, you have the keys. You have the recipe. Dylan Gabriel, the huge compliment about him in his college career was he was there for so long, he saw it all, and he took good care of the football. You can trust that. Trust him with his weapons alongside with the defense that you have. Not saying you want to turn the ball over, but if you do, you've got a good defense that can get you the ball back. So to your point, Pete, just take the training wheels off. Let Dylan Gabriel go out there and be a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Well, let's talk about those defenses right now, right? 2 of the best defenses in the league. And the Browns, I felt, did a really good job in the beginning part of that game, setting up Daniel Gabriel with some of those turnovers. But, Pete, how would you grade both of these defenses in London today?
Well, I think, if you look at the Vikings, they do so many creative things. So what do you want to do to them? You want to run right at them. And the Browns did a great job of running right at them. They're not a big physical power defense, but they're very athletic. So the best way to attack that is use their running back, and they did it. And I thought that was a great plan by Kevin Stefanski. If they hadn't run the football, it could have been a problem, because then it would have put more pressure on Gabriel. I love what the Browns do on defense. I mean, look, they're a great defense. The problem is they take the field every single week knowing that we might have to win this game on our own. And again, they did a nice job in this game, but they couldn't stop them on the one game-winning drive.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by shortening the game on offense and allowing your defense to be able to get rest. Because let's call it what it is. The Browns defense probably plays too many snaps, just in terms of them not being able to sustain drives due to the ineffectiveness at the quarterback position. But even going back to Dylan Gabriel, I think he gave, and Pete said it and Damian said it, he gave Browns fans and the Browns organization he gave them some encouragement, right? Because again, he was accurate. The moment wasn't too big for him, and he took good care of the football. And I mean, if he is 5'10", great, fine. But it shows you that he can still get it done, in this lineup because of what Damian said, the weapons around him.
We're making fun of small guys. Well,
I don't want to do that. Happy birthday, Pete Prisco. I learned today that it is your birthday.
We don't celebrate that one.
Come on.
Go in the opposite direction.
One more question, Aran. I want you to put your GM cap on for this one. Jordan Addison with that game-winning touchdown, but he did sit out in the first quarter. He was held out, rather, for allegedly wanting to sightsee in London and maybe missing curfew. What do you think of that?
He's got to grow up. It's plain and simple. He has to grow up. You missed 3 games because you were suspended for an off-the-field incident. You came into the league with some quote-unquote baggage. At this point, you have to grow up. You have a long offseason. If you want to go back and sightsee in London, you have months to do that. And I believe this isn't the first time he's played in London. So at this point, I'm glad that he was able to regroup, get himself together, and be there when his team needed him most at the end of the game. But at this point, young man, you have to grow up and become a pro.
I bet he was sightseeing a few pints somewhere. He wasn't sightseeing. Give me a break.
You know, you maybe want to see Big Ben. Come on.
Well, come on. Look, the bottom line is, and I'm with you, but
No, he was celebrating your birthday.
Yeah.
that's what it was. He was
That's all it was.
But these teams are great, though. Oh, we'll just sit them out for the first quarter. But we're not going to sit them out the whole game because
Because
they
you're trying
need
to win
them.
football games.
Yeah,
That's what.
But if you're Jordan Addison, you have to take that and understand you are a go-to guy. Listen, everybody knows 18 is going to be double covered. He's either going to get their best corner, he's going to be double covered. All the attention is going to be on 18. So you have got to be the guy that you know that they will come to you when 18 ain't open. And with that, you can't put yourself in a situation to where you're missing times, you're missing reps, you're missing snaps because of boneheaded off the field stuff that is completely controllable. So for him, it's about understanding how important he is to this team as a 1B to Justin Jefferson and being a guy that can be come to in the clutch and not missing opportunities early in the game or games, parts of the season, whatever you may have it.
I threw up a 2. Justin's the clear 1.
Well, okay, yes.
It isn't 1 and 1A.
Okay, wide receiver 2, Jordan Addison. I apologize. I misspoke. I did.
To y'all's point, coming off of a suspension, you got to be better. It's just his second game back. You can't be out sightseeing like that. And I would agree, he is a clear number 2. But it was nice to see Jefferson be opened up a little bit with Addison in the game. All right, that's going to do it for us.
I'm only a sophomore on the show. I didn't know coaches were eligible for this. Okay, they are just concluded in London. Vikings and Browns. Let me show you what happened. Early first quarter, Vikings have the ball, and it's Jordan Mason losing the football for them in the early going here. You see already that's Jordan Mason. Then it's Gabriel finding Harold Fannin Jr. for the touchdown. We're late in let's skip all the way to late in the fourth quarter as the Vikings are trying to make a move here. They're down 17-14, driving and then throwing into the corner of the end zone.
Jordan Addison.
That's Jordan Addison, who had been suspended or at least benched for the early part of the game. We'll have more on that in just a moment, and then that would lead to this Hail Mary last opportunity. Tyler Gabriel, who's up and down, mostly good, knocked down in the end zone.
They see you, Dylan.
But hold everything just one moment here. I said Tyler Gabriel. Of course, it's Dylan Gabriel, I should have said. But the Vikings had called a timeout there before the ball was snapped. And so it's Gabriel again, this time trying to throw a completion. But the clock runs out before they're able to get another play snapped. Carson Wentz and the Vikings come away with a hard-fought win. 21-17 is your final score there. A game with so many different storylines. Again, Addison begins the game on the bench, winds up catching the game-winning touchdown. What exactly happened there? Adam Schefter.
Well, Greeny, Jordan Addison didn't play at all during the first quarter. The Vikings say it was a coaching decision. They're in London. A lot of people believe that it could be having something to do with a curfew violation. Kevin O'Connell is about to talk, but Jordan Addison, who did not play the first 3 games of the season due to an NFL suspension, returned last week, didn't play the first quarter today, but managed to catch the game-winning touchdown pass.
For them, so many storylines here. The Vikings going across the pond. They lose last week in tough fashion. Now they bounce back with a win here behind Carson Wentz. That's one part of the story. The other part, of course, is the performance of the rookie Dylan Gabriel, the third-round pick, and all of the controversy that we saw there. What do we say about his performance today?
I thought both these quarterbacks played well today. Listen, the defenses were the story of this game. Both these defenses looked like they were going to overpower, especially these quarterbacks that, again, one making his first start, Carson Wentz, has been so up and down throughout his career. But I thought Dylan Gabriel looked decisive. Again, didn't turn the ball over, got the ball out of his hands. And again, this offensive line has struggled. Again, the Minnesota defense, Brian Flores, presents so many problems for a young quarterback. And again, this guy looked control for making his first start. I think a lot to like if you're a Cleveland fan.
Yeah, I mean, all it is when you go against that Brian Flores defense, he's 10-1 against rookie quarterbacks now. This kid was outstanding, I thought.
Right.
I mean, he managed the game well. I mean, no turnovers. I think he got sacked maybe once or twice the whole game, but he looked in control. And by the way, accurate. Like, He was spot on. Him and that the big tight end that you love so much, that Njoku.
David Njoku.
Holy cow, they look good. And this is the first time all season we can say that this offense actually was entertaining to watch.
Yes, it was. You know, one thing about it is you want, all this talk about the rookie, quarterback in Gabriel and him seeing this Brian Flores defense. We all thought he was going to really struggle. But I think one thing that you'll take from this game is you've seen this rookie. He grew from it. And one thing about it, he's not going to face a defense like this every week. So I like what I saw today.
Yeah, especially rushers like Malik Collins, who was getting, I'm going to the other side with Carson Wentz here, because that defense was after him. And Carson Wentz looked bad at times, but to finish the way he finished and get that touchdown pass to Addison the way he did. Wentz, that's all we want. You're a backup quarterback. Go out there when the game's on the line. Can you get it done? Wentz got it done today.
Yeah, didn't turn the ball over either.
Yeah. So what are the Minnesota Vikings? They sit there now at this stage. They're in a division where the Lions look like they are as good as ever. The Green Bay Packers, they haven't maybe looked as good as we'd like them to, but they certainly feel like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. What exactly are the Vikings?
Well, look, Kevin O'Connell is outstanding. He's about as good a coach as there is in this league, and he finds a way to get it done. This is with a quarterback that, to politely say a journeyman quarterback, they're still finding ways to move that ball offensively. And I don't know. I just think their defense with Brian Flores, that style of defense is going to be good. So they're going to still have a shot. Look, remember last year they won, 13 games or 14 games?
14 games.
In the regular season. So you certainly can't count this team
one
out.
thing that really stood out to me watching this game at the beginning, you heard me talking the 3-hour show about the number one wide receiver. I like the way they moved Justin Jefferson early in this game. They had him at tight end. They had him in the slot. They had him at running back. So going forward, I like what the Vikings is doing with a backup quarterback.
Listen, it's a good win for Minnesota, but what they are remains to be seen. Obviously, they have an elite defense, but when J.J. McCarthy gets back, right, he's had 8 quarters, 7 of them haven't looked pretty good. We just talked at length about the guy playing quarterback in Seattle that was there last year, Sam Darnold. You got to think, you got to wonder what this team looks very different with him at the helm, and they obviously let him walk. I don't know. Obviously, when J.J. comes back, what they are at that point
as
still
much,
is an unknown.
Time as Carson Wentz can buy this kid to get healthy, and the defense can help Carson Wentz. This is what it's all about. And you hung on today, and you got to win, which is great. How healthy is JJ now? How good can JJ be? The defense has got to help. But that's where Minnesota is. I mean, this isn't one of the best teams in football or anything like that. This is one that is figuring themselves out, but they're still able to get wins, which is
guys are still able to get wins with a ton of injuries on that offensive line as well. So I think when they get fully healthy, look, there's a reason they let Sam Darnold go. This organization has extreme confidence in J.J. McCarthy. So we'll see if it's warranted or not.
Let's pick up that thought with Adam Schefter here as we take a look at where they are with J.J. McCarthy and his return. Shefty.
Greeny, when J.J. McCarthy suffered his high ankle sprain, the expectation was that he would be back after the bye to come back at that point in time. Keep in mind, they also play the teeth of their schedule. They host the Eagles after their bye next week, then play at the Chargers and at the Lions. But the belief is that J.J. McCarthy will be ready in Week 7.